I think the first thing you need to do is switch the laws to make them more favorable and fair. So, for example, the tender years doctrine, do you know what that is?
The tender years, no.
That assumes that the mother is the best one for the child under the age of 7. In some states, it extends to 16.
Yeah.
That's an openly sexist law.
Yep.
That's openly sexist.
But what do you mean by sexist? Because, sometimes people say sexist, and if they're referring to real misogyny or something, I don't like that. But if they're saying men and women are different, I certainly
they are different, right? But
yeah, one gives children discipline and one gives children excuses. Give them the discipline.
What evidence do we have that the mother is the best one with the children?
Well,
the kids are the most likely to be abused by the mother, not the father, by the mother.
That's a little unclear because, for starters, as you just acknowledged, the children are much more likely to be with the mother. Not only in the case of divorce, but also in the case of a married couple with daddies at work.
But why?
Why
so
are kids more likely to be with
the way the laws are set up, it punishes men for being traditional. If you're a traditional,
so because more women are around their children more, they have the right to beat them more. What's the point here? So you're around them more. That doesn't entitle you to beating them.
When I say kids are more likely to be with their mothers, I just mean because even in a traditional family, I, daddy, am off at work right now, and mommy is home with the kids.
But so what's your point with that?
My point is that and the statistics are a little unclear about this. There was a number from HHS in 2009 showed that women are much more likely to abuse or neglect their children. There's another number from last year from, I think it was the National Child Abuse and Neglect Data Set or something like that, which found that it's a little closer to equal. Women still have a slight edge on abuse, but it's close to sexual parity. But then when you factor in...
Not the biological dad. That includes stepdads, not the biological father.
No, that's biological father.
No,
it is. Which data set are you referring to?
Well, they've done comprehensive studies over the last 100 years.
But what do you mean by they? Like, I'm referring to a very specific data set.
Okay, go ahead.
So in that very specific data set, that would contradict the 2009 numbers from HHS, but nevertheless, it would still prove your point, which is that the women are slightly more likely. But then I guess...
I think what Pearl was trying to say is that number that he's citing also includes whenever stepdads smack around the kids, which really shouldn't have any, what does that have to do with the original dad who didn't? Yes, people will smack around other people's kids. So
my point is, right, the women in marriage and outside of marriage are much more likely to be with children all of the time.
Right,
so the parity is almost
you would see
surprising.
The abuse numbers go down as women have spent less time with children. So in the last 50 years, women have worked more.
Hold on, you're saying that children are more likely to be abused in a traditional family with mother and father, or you're saying single father and single mother?
Women are the most likely the ones to abuse the child. And even if you think abortion's murder, right?
Yeah.
So
there you go.
1 out of 3 women's had an abortion. I've seen some numbers that say 1 out of...
Wouldn't that elevate your violence numbers for those children, since those children are now dead?
4, but the point is still the same. If 1 out of 4 men committed murder, we would all be...
Though, abortion is murder, but also, there's a lot that goes into that because there.
And so I just couldn't. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, when we point to an issue like abortion, obviously, that's that is murder. It's not only morally synonymous. It's the same thing. But then also, the male abortionists are involved in the murder. The male legislators who pass.
If I hire a hitman, I'm still responsible.
Sure, but so is the hitman. He goes to jail too.
Right, but there's far more women that are hiring a hitman than men performing the act.
Well, so I guess in every abortion, it's a woman who's procuring one.
Exactly, that's my point. And so my point is that law is openly sexist.
Notice how Michael simps for these murderers, right? Right, but there are men that allow it too. It's always the man's fault with these feminists like Michael.
It's sexist, but men and women are different. So shouldn't it be sexist? Meaning, when a little baby calls out, a little baby is calling out for mommy, not daddy. Now, I'm not saying this is good. I think divorce is unacceptable in pretty much every circumstance. But if there is going to be a divorce, it would seem natural for a little baby to be with the mother rather than the father.
Even if you look at infanticide, it's almost unheard of.
Why? We just told you that the woman is the most likely to abuse the child, and they're 100% the most likely to not give them any discipline. So why is it better for the child to go with the mother? Please back that up. Why? Just because always been that way? Is that a viable argument in a debate? I don't think so.
For men to ever commit it, it's almost 100% the mother.
Well, that's
my point.
That's contradicted by one study.
I don't think it's right that men are not entitled to their children. It's 50% their DNA. It's 50% their child. Why are they not entitled to 50% custody? And
they should be entitled to 100% custody within the context of marriage, which is indissoluble.
Right.
But to the point you just made, where you said fathers don't kill their kids. Again, I think statistics are basically fake, but if people are going to cite them, I'm happy to cite them when they buttress my argument. And there was a study came out in 2017, I think, from Forensic International Science, something like that, which showed that 57% of the time in cases of killing offspring, it's the fathers who do it, not the mothers. Now, again, I'm sure that one can pull some other statistics.
Right,
the other
If you eliminate all the abortions that kill 100% of the children, and 1 in 4 women have had one, how is that possible, Michael? It sounds like your study's not actually using reality and actual facts.
Into the abortion stats too.
And
But
obviously abortion.
My whole point is that I think that men should be entitled to their children. I don't think it's fair the way the system is. Regardless of where you fall, it's not fair that women get custody 90% of the time. It's not fair that men are always paying alimony, they're always paying child support, and that they're punished for being traditional. Because the more time they spend providing for their family, the way they calculate it in child support is they kind of do I gotcha. You did the right thing. You provided for your family. Why are you punished in child custody cases?
Well, you didn't do the right thing if you got divorced.
Right, but it's filed by women 70 to 80% of the time.
It goes even higher.
And that's
it goes even higher. So
if women are college educated.
if women are college educated, but I guess this is the key.
Point.
To me, this is the key because the liberals love to say, see, college educated women, they favor liberal policies, which is true. But I don't think that college education signifies a particularly strong education.
Okay.
To me, it's clearly a sign of liberalism. So then, I don't mean to.
This is the filibuster here. He's not addressing the topic here. What she said is that women are the ones getting divorced up to 90% of the time. So how did the man fail? This is the simp mentality where no matter what, it's a man's fault. Because women they're incapable of doing anything. So you got to protect them. They can't have rules or repercussions for their actions. Mike is a simp. Michael Knowles is a simp.
Blame the victim here if I'm talking about the men, but it would seem to me if you don't want to get divorced, not marrying a liberal woman is a good place to start.
Mm-hmm.
He acts like only liberal women are the ones getting divorced. The conservative women are brainwashed just like the liberals. They get divorced too. It's not just liberal women who are divorcing their men. It's all women who are divorcing the men.
If the more liberal women are, the more likely they are to divorce. It's almost like a truism, right? It's like saying, the more likely a woman is to support divorce, the more likely she is to divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then why would a man marry a woman who would support divorce?
What percent of women do you think are marriageable?
What do you mean by marriageable?
No tattoos, no debt, not overweight, doesn't openly hate men.
Doesn't work a masculine job and now doesn't use moisturizer, so they look basically like a man. At my age demographic, when I was trying to date my own age, that's what I saw a lot of. Women who work outside, don't use moisturizer, and now they look like a pirate.
It's not the majority, Michael.
What's the number?
These are confirmed by an actuary. It's less than 5%.
Which actuary? What study is it?
It's called "The World Without Men." It's
a study, or it's a blog, or a book, or what is a world?
It's a book. It's a book, and they go through the numbers that are confirmed by an actuary.
So I saw that book. But
you know this, Michael. Even in real life, you go on the Whatever podcast.
Yeah.
You go. I mean, you see Fresh and Fit Miami. It's not like, and I've interviewed 1,000 women. 1,000.
Yeah.
I've interviewed Christian women. I've interviewed Catholic women.
So I saw that.
And I've been on the other side of divorce.
Yeah.
And I've seen men that did the right thing.
But I'm skeptical of your number here because look, I'm not. It's a crazy world. The women have crazy colored hair. They have tattoos. They do crazy stuff. But I saw that book. Maybe you had mentioned it, or someone.
Why wouldn't you believe her? Why do you not believe her? We just admitted that the world's crazy and women act like lunatics.
On the internet mentioned it, and I didn't know, was it a study? Is it a this or is it that? And it's this book by a blogger who does not really.
No, he's an economist.
So I read the book. I hate to be. I would encourage people to take a look at the book. I open up the book. The first sentence of that book, there is one mistaken quotation and 3 grammatical errors in the first sentence. And then I looked for the 5% number. The 5% figure appears nowhere in the book. So again, I'm not saying that the world is teeming with women who are traditional and
Would you agree it's the minority?
Who are marriageable?
The minority. Even if we look at just overweight.
Notice how Michael just discredited the entirety of the book because he saw a couple of grammatical errors. What a grammar Nazi, huh?
70% of women. Sometimes I think you guys are so out of touch.
I don't think
like 70%. You want a fat wife? It's like, come on, no, guys. This is what you're telling men to sign up for.
Well, what I'm telling them, I guess what I'm.
And that's my point. It's not the majority. And when is the last time you dated? Like 10 years. You've been married for a while. So sometimes you talk, and I just think you're a bit out of touch with
You're saying
I'm
okay. No, that's fair. You're saying I never swiped. I never did any of these things.
Correct. And I'm saying I've
Michael is a millennial, and he's a bigger boomer than me.
interviewed 1,000 women. I could give you examples in real life too. I mean, that's a ton of people, Michael.
Sure.
So,
sure. I have no doubt that the dating pool is difficult now. But the problem is.
Yeah, he just butts that away. I know it's difficult, but no, it's impossible, Michael. It's impossible. I've been trying for 4 years now, and I've not met a sane woman in those 4 years. Not one who was not delusional in at least 4 or 5 different ways.
That the state is the legal enforcement arm.
That's by definition.
Correct. So there's no way for a man to get married in 2024 without being entered into the state contract.
But that's always.
And so I understand, but I understand men's hesitation when the quality of women has gone down.
But what if,
I don't tell men not to get married or like what to do. I think every man has to decide for themselves. But I don't think you're going to win a lot of support, or I think you have to understand the problem in order to come up with the solution.
so you are telling men, at the very least, you're observing that it is not advisable today in 2024 to get married.
Yeah.
I would say that every man has to pick for himself. But I think objectively, if me and you sign a contract and one of us is paid to leave, you would never sign that business deal. You would never sign it.
I did, right? If you're saying that's the state of marriage now, I did get married, therefore I did sign it.
Okay, well, congratulations. But I think a lot of men are going to be hesitant to do that.
And you're saying it's rational for them to be hesitant.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's advisable,
not advisable,
but rational.
Every man, like, okay, I'll give you an example. I
love how Michael thinks that his wife is the exception to all of this because he got her young. But what he doesn't understand is in the future, she's going to be corrupted by all this too. She sits at home all day. She doesn't have to go to work. She sits home watching TV. And the TV is going to program her to get divorced eventually because it's all everywhere. It's how Stella gets her groove back. You got to just get rid of that man and go find some new dick in some other country, preferably. That's what these women are looking for. That's why they travel every couple. Like, you can tell the ones that are doing that. They travel every weekend. Some other simp, bring them to another country.
I'm not here. I think men have had enough of women telling them what to do. I'm not telling men to do anything. But I think your situation is going to be completely different than the average Joe making $45,000 a year. If your marriage goes south, you have the money to afford lawyers.
I have the money, but I'm going to lose half money.
What?
One of the.
But do you think you're in the same position as the average man making $45,000 a year? The answer is no.
No, but
the answer is no.
I don't think it's because of my money, though. You know what I think it's because, well, look, when I got married, I didn't have a lot of money, but now I have more money. But
and if you wouldn't have got successful, you'd probably be divorced right now.
I think there's a bigger distinction here, which is I am of a religious view and practice that does not recognize the reality of divorce. Not only do we discourage it, I'm a mackerel-snapping papist, a member of the Catholic faith.
I'm Catholic too.
You're Catholic also?
I'm also Catholic.
So, marvelous news.
Yeah.
We do not.
And Catholics are not immune to divorce. I have seen it. I've seen people getting married for the second time. They still get communion, and the number of annulments is going up.
That's not licit.
The number, but
that's a great.
But that's I know, but it doesn't matter because it happens all the time.
But you can.
Totally.
I see someone who calls himself.
We have a record number of annulments this year in the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is getting more. You see the Pope, and I think we could agree on this stuff.
The Pope for all of the liberal statements that have appeared in the press under his name. The Pope is generally pretty good on matters of sex and marriage. He's pretty clear. When you say, Catholics get divorced, it has happened. There's a distinction between
it's around, I looked it up before this, it's around 25, 35.
So that's
it's around 35%. And so that's not a small percentage.
What's the national average? Like 45% roughly? So,
well, 2024, it was 50.
Okay, so
I know everyone splits hairs over like the 5-10%, but regardless, it's not small.
So what that means then is that if you're a man, and I totally grant that dating pool's tough and the economy's tough and the divorce courts are terrible and divorce laws are terrible.
But they should sign up anyway.
Well, yeah, no. Before we even get to that,
before
we get to that, one way to mitigate one's risk in marriage of divorce would be to be just any old Catholic, right? Because you then reduce the likelihood of divorce by 16% immediately, 16 percentage points, much more than 16% from the 50% number. So then. What if you're a Muslim? Divorce rates among Muslims, even a little lower, 30%. Divorce rates among Orthodox Jews, 30 is low. There's a lot of different kinds of Jews, but it goes down to as low as 10. And then you get down to a little more of the old school Catholics, which is kind of how I practice. There aren't great numbers on it.
Do you go to Latin Mass?
Traditional Latin Mass, the like.
Yeah. That's a lot of patience.
But frankly, I find it.
No, it's good. It's good. Latin Mass is a little better.
It seems like it goes faster and the shorter.
No, it's a little bit better in the Latin Mass. I'd agree.
But when it comes to divorce, the numbers are a little sparse here. It's like 5 to me.
Who has 2 hours a week to go listen to a dead language?
80-10%.
But the problem is with most of those stats, most of those studies were done before social media. Anyone that dated before and after social media knows it completely changed the game.
How do you mean?
Well, women now have access to men anywhere. and cheating and goes up. Like dating, the number one way people are meeting under 30 is dating apps.
Yep.
I mean, this is a completely different dating marketplace than when you were dating.
Though I guess
And that's my point.
when I was dating,
there's no
Dating apps have ruined any man's chance of ever getting married, because these women now can take a photograph and have AI make them pretty. I can't say titties on AI, but apparently they can deceive men into fucking thinking they're pretty.
Oh, Catholic woman in divorce court. Women will throw out their religion very, very fast when they want to leave. You cannot pray a woman that wants to leave you into not leaving you.
Nope.
I think you don't the statistics I just cited show that you can, because the
No,
divorce
but the
rates are so
problem
much
with
lower.
those is they include women over a certain age. The women under the age of 35
You're saying
have
it's
been
different.
on. So, yes, it's completely different.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I think you can't really deny it with what you've seen. You go on whatever podcast. Are those the same women of our grandmother?
I'll extend that too. Not just women under 35, the women that are older than 35 too, because they're dealing with it too. If they're on dating sites, they're cooked. They're cooked.
And great grandmothers? No, it's completely different.
There's not a ton of Orthodox Jews and traditional Catholics on that podcast, but and perhaps there's a reason for that.
And you got to ask like the reputation. What's the reputation of Catholic girls?
Well, what do you mean? I mean, again,
That's my point. My point is they have if there was an abundance of wives in church, Michael, the men would be lining up to go.
but they
And
do at the traditional church.
Men are leaving the church under the age of 35. Young men, church participation is going down altogether, but young men are leaving the church.
What about the traditional parishes?
The traditional parishes,
They're exploding, and it's all young people. I mean, the median age is like 22 in these parishes, and it's largely young men. So I totally grant you that a lot of modern religion has become quite effeminate and has driven men away.
right? But I'm saying the Catholic Church is not exempt. It's absolutely not exempt. I've seen a lot of the same trends in the Catholic Church.
I guess my confusion is, though, you bring up these statistics, and so then we acknowledge the statistics that show that if one gets married, assuming that divorce is not a sacramental reality, that the likelihood of divorce goes way down. But then when we say that, you instantly say, well, actually now the statistics aren't worth anything because young people are different.
Wait, say that again. Sorry.
So
Wait.
we agree that the numbers for Catholics, Jews, Muslims, Orthodox Jews and Muslims, divorce numbers are way lower. And you acknowledge those statistics, but then you say,
no, I don't. No, I don't.
You don't? Okay. All right.
No, because most of those include women over a certain age.
Right. You're saying the young people, it's totally different.
Time, Michael.
So what is,
and that's the same thing. Like the time my parents got married in is completely different.
So
than
what
the time
changed?
today.
Other than now they have, so they meet on apps rather than at bars, and that's the big change? That's why we can't believe the statistics anymore?
Well, the average marriage is 7 years now, Michael.
No, you can believe the statistics. You just can't use faulty fucking studies that also have 60-year-old women who have been married for 35 years. That's not the same. That's not what we're talking about.
Right, but we've had divorce, expanded divorce for a long time. We've had no-fault divorce in America since 1969. So, I acknowledge these are, by historical standards, relatively novel, but we're still talking like 50 years, right? More than 50 years.
I don't, I just think a lot of times I hear you guys' advice to go to church and find a good woman. And I don't necessarily think it's bad advice in general, but
maybe if that church is in another country, like a third world country, where the women actually kind of respect men still because they need one to survive.
Again, I think that times have changed. And I think a lot of times you guys are a bit out of touch with what the average man is going through in this country.
Well, what do you mean by the average man, I guess? Men come in all shapes and sizes. So, acknowledging the fears of the modern...
Do you think men have valid fears in getting married? Do you think any of it's valid? Or do you think they're making it up?
Yeah, I think that marriage entails risk.
Okay.
But there are ways to mitigate risk.
There are
it's
ways,
a natural institution.
Correct. There are ways to mitigate risk.
Yep.
But because I don't know, when you talk about this stuff, you guys are just sorry, I don't mean to say you guys, but
please generalize.
Sorry.
It's okay.
But sometimes I'm just like, how do you not see where the men are coming from? I've talked to men that did the exact same thing. That they took you guys' advice to a T.
What's our advice? Our advice is just
to marry. I've seen
married.
a lot of stuff from the Daily Wire.
Yeah.
Okay. It might be you, might be other guys that say get married young, right?
Yeah, it's good.
Sign up. Okay. But I'll see guys that take you guys' advice, and sometimes it ruins their life.
Because they get divorced.
And the divorce isn't like the woman ruins their reputation. Calls him an abuser. And even calls him an abuser, says all these awful things. He hasn't seen his kids in 2 years.
It's awful. Yeah.
And it's the saddest thing when you see a man that's going through a divorce.
So what's the alternative, though? Because I totally agree with you about the risk and the pitfalls of modern marriage.
Well, I think that the laws need to change first, because regardless of what I say,
before people get married.
Well, it's not about what I say. It's about what people will do. You guys have been preaching marriage for a decade. Men aren't signing up.
No,
Men are
that's
the
still
rate of
getting
but the rate of getting married is going lower.
Right, but we
less
also
and less
we also
men are getting married.
we redefined marriage at the federal level.
Correct.
So, I mean,
correct,
we've also had
correct.
divorce for 50 years.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
again,
correct. No, you're right. You're correct. But I'm saying laws need to change. Personally, if it was Pearl's world,
Yes.
and I think you're probably going to have to find somewhere that meets in the middle for something to pass. But if it was Pearl's world, I wouldn't have alimony. I wouldn't have child support. I don't think you're entitled to it.
Yeah,
I
would certainly eliminate no-fault divorce, and I would greatly restrict divorce broadly.
Yeah, but I think until you do that, you're going to have a hard time getting men to sign up. Until women get in shape.
Sure.
If 70% of women are overweight, that's not a great sell to men.
But okay, so
80% of women gain 20 pounds in the first 5 years of marriage.
Sure. Yeah, that's no good. That's just
and
fake.
that's